Hello, everybody. Welcome to Let's Talk College Football. I'm your host, Don Goodwin. This is a new show of college football and only college football. I'm excited for the new season to start, the 2023 season. Week 0 is just around the corner. It is August 19th of 2023, and we're ready to kick this show off. Now, I could talk to you about all the crazy that's going on and all the camp stuff and the realignment and all that, but we're not going to do that today. We're going to do the college football preseason top 25 power polls in my way, my version, I should say. We heard the AP, we've heard the coaches, we've heard other people talk, but I want to give you my thoughts on that. And I know there's going to be things that you agree with and there's things that you don't. And that's fine. People's opinions are people's opinions, and their thoughts are their thoughts. So, if you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and share. Comment on there. Let me know what you thought. Maybe something that you would like to talk about, and I'll be able to do some videos on that. If you're on Spotify, please like and share and subscribe as well. We need those subs come in. I want to start breaking down sub goals. We want to reach the first 500. We're super excited. The more we get, the better the show can get, the more we can grow. We want this thing to take off and it be powered by the fans and not by the host. So once again, I want to thank you for joining me on this. We are going to start with number 1 through 25 because I know some of you can't wait to hear who number 1 is. So I like to break the hearts right away. That way we have time to heal and be able to get over it and still be friends at the end. That's the big thing. So let's get into this, right? At number 1, I am going to pick the Georgia Bulldogs. And I know what you guys are thinking. Man, they've lost all kinds of stuff. How are you going to just pick Georgia? Well, they did win 2 back-to-back national titles. They have 7 defenders coming back from that national titles. The rest of them probably already was in rotation. They have the best defensive coach in Kirby Smart and head coach. Oh, yeah. By the way, they have returning tight ends and receivers who are also top. And running backs are always good in Georgia. The trenches are always good in Georgia. And it doesn't really matter who the quarterback's going to be because most of the quarterbacks are just good and they work in the system because the system's great. Good quarterbacks fit in great systems. Great quarterbacks fit in good systems. Georgia likes the good quarterbacks, great systems. I know Dylan Raiola's coming there 2024. And so maybe that'll be a little bit different there because he'll be the best quarterback they've had, well, since the great Matthew Stafford. But listen, it also has something to do with the fact they have the weakest schedule in the SEC. They have the 63rd weakest schedule in college football. So there's a lot to do with that too. They're not really going to be contested, but maybe once this year until the SEC championship. So we can look at it like that as well. At number 2, I like to call the team up north because I am an Ohio State Buckeyes fan, but I don't come on here just for Ohio State. I come on here to talk about all college football. And here's my proof to you because I got sick when I wrote this down. I can't stand Michigan. And yet I put them at number 2 above my Buckeyes. And I didn't do it because somebody else did it. I did it because of the facts. The facts is they have the best running back duo in the country. They probably have the best offensive line in the country. They have a great defensive front. They have great defensive backs. I don't like their wide receivers as much as a lot of other people. Not really huge on them, but they have really good tight end. And so this might be the most talented team that Jim Harbaugh's ever coached. So without excuse, Jimmy, this is the best team you've ever coached. And oh, yeah, by the way, I don't know, the 51st weakest schedule in the country, and they'll only be contested like twice, Penn State and Ohio State, and that's at the end of the year. By that time, they can fix all their kinks and all their stuff and get themselves rolling. Must be lucky to beat Michigan and Georgia this year. I understand that Georgia had a little bit of issue because of the realignment, messed up the schedule. They couldn't get anybody to go. So who do you go for? The weakest people in the country. And then, I don't know, this is the 3rd straight year Michigan was able to get away with it, something that no other Big Ten team can, because we're supposed to play 1 non-conference Power 5 team and 2 weak teams. They play 3 weak teams every year. So, saying that, both of them get 1 and 2 because they are super talented. They have experienced coaches and weak schedules. At number 3, I have Ohio State. And I know people are saying right now, did you put them there? Listen, if I would have put them anywhere because I was a Buckeye fanatic, and I am, I'd put them at number 1 or at least at number 2. But I put them at number 3 for reasons. There is questions on the offensive line. They have 2 guards coming back. There's no questions about that. Now, I do believe one of their tackles is pretty experienced in my eyes because he's been on some rotations. But there is a new center and two tackles that are going to be in there. And so there is some worries about that. And I know a lot of you guys thinking, well, what about the quarterback? I ain't worried about the quarterback. Ryan Day's an amazing quarterback coach. And you have one and Kyle McCord, who I think is going to end up winning it. And he seems to be the one who's winning it, even though they tell you that they're neck to neck. Come on now. Some of us know. But he won 3 state championships with Marvin Harrison Jr., which is the best wide receiver in the country, who will be throwing to. And they have very good chemistry. Oh, yeah, by the way, he'll be throwing to Emeka Abuka, Julian Flemings, probably Xavier. I mean, there's so much going on over there. Their running back is the second best dual running back system in the country. They was not healthy last year, but they're 100% now, and so they're ready to come out. I think you're going to see more Travion Henderson more than a dual threat, though. I think there's going to be more 80% of the runs to Travion, and then here's some split of the 20. And I'm not talking about when they play Youngstown or Western Kentucky because, there's going to be a lot of backups in those games. But this defense might be the most talented defense since 2019 on the Ohio State Buckeyes, which might be one of the most greatest defenses of all time. I actually love that defense. And so when I look back and I see that all these guys came back and they're third-year players, 5 stars, and Tommy Eichenberg's back. Still Chambers is back. Ransom Latham's back. There's so many people that are back. And then you add in like Sonny Styles, who's looked like at 17, he should be playing in the NFL. He's ready to come out there. C.J. Hicks is going to get put into the game some. You have Denzel Burke ready to show up on his third year as a corner. Then they were all hurt too last year. Everybody's healthy on the corner. They got a chip on their shoulder. They're very, very confident this year. So I think with all that said, with all the talent and the coaches, they're the third best team in the preseason. Now, let me get this straight. And I know some of you guys are like, man, my team deserves to be better. Listen, there's teams I put on this. Now, I watched camp since I wrote this because I was out a little bit because I lost someone. I probably would switch it up a little bit. And who knows? Maybe I sell the stocks and buy stocks or move the stocks, however I do it. But that's how I'm going to do it. And each week, every team has the right to prove me wrong. And each week, we're going to go over just like the AP poll will, because AP polls wrong a lot. We're going to be wrong a lot when it comes to this because college football is college football. And any given Saturday is the same as any given Sunday. That's just the way it is, guys. So I got Ohio State at number 3. They have the 9th hardest schedule, so that's another reason why, on top of that, in the offensive line, why I have them there. At number 4, I have Alabama. And I know a lot of people in Alabama is going to call me wrong because I didn't put them number 1. But listen, your ties will roll just as good at number 4. I believe 1 through 4 is tier 1, and you can put them in any place because it doesn't matter. Because I believe any one of these teams could be number 1 through number 4. I put it this way because of how I'm breaking it down to you, the talent-wise, the schedule-wise, and all that other stuff. But Alabama is loaded, right? Top to bottom of 5 stars. They have more 5 stars than I think anybody. There's going to be young people coming out there. Jace, running back number 2, is going to be coming back out. I thought he was a great running back last year. I mean, everybody was like, man, we just need to keep him out and just go ahead and run give all the time, man. Listen, this dude is going to be dangerous, absolutely dangerous. But not only that, well, they have so many of these young guys who were freshmen last year. I think they're going to come out and make an impact. Nick Saban's the best coach in college football history. He's going to have these guys ready. I think Kool-Aid might be one of the best defensive backs in the country. I think he's going to have an amazing year. Dallas Turner is going to have an amazing year on defense as well. I mean, they're talented from top to bottom. I do have a little bit of concerns, the same as I do Ohio State with their offensive line. I'm not fully bought on their offensive line. I thought they had a lot of breakdowns last year. I'm not sold on their wide receiver group at all. And some of them left. And now that I watched one of their futures last night at a high school kickoff game in Georgia, and I'm telling you, that kid's going to be a beast for Alabama in the future. But right now, I'm not sold on the wide receiver group. This is going to be a majority running team, and it's already been out there, right? They've already talked about this. We're going to play main defense, and we're going to run the ball, old school Alabama football, and I think it's going to be good. Listen, you want to be Jim Harbaugh? Be Jim Harbaugh. That's fine. If that's what you want to be. And it works because, look, it did until you played in the playoffs. And you have to play catch-up. And you have to be able to match. And everybody knows Alabama loses when people throw the ball way down the field. And Alabama can't run the ball when they're down touchdowns. So you're going to have that at times. And I'm not saying they're going to lose. I picked them to win the SEC. If you watched my other channel, I picked them to win. And I picked them to have a good season. Do they have competition? Yeah, I think Texas coming in week 2. I think when they play LSU, they always got an argument and a fight when it comes to Texas A&M. So, yeah, Ole Miss likes to throw the ball deep. I don't think Ole Miss is all that. I don't think they're going to have it this year. But, yeah, they're going to have some competition and talent. But I'm not a big fan also with the quarterback. I think Milroe will win the game. Listen, Tyler Buchner is not. I think it's between him and Milroe, and I think Milroe has been winning when it comes to camp and scrimmages. So I'm going to give him the edge. He is a dual threat, but if he can't protect the ball and throw the ball accurately like last year he couldn't, then the quarterback's running, the running back's running, and everybody's just running. No, you have to be able to pass the ball. These wide receivers are going to have to be able to catch the ball, and I'm not saying they won't. So don't shoot the messenger. Don't hang up on my channel now. Don't say, oh, I'm going to unsubscribe when I was going to subscribe just because you want to talk junk. I'm not talking junk. I'm talking truth. Listen, I'm telling you, they have the ability to prove me wrong. Everyone does. Everyone has the ability to prove me wrong, prove me right each and every week. All you got to do is take care of the job. That's all I'm saying. Don't get mad at me. Listen, I love you. Don't get mad at me. Come on now. Let's just move on. All right, number 5, I have Penn State. 1 through 4 is the tier 1. Now let's get into tier 2. I can almost put Penn State alone in the tier 2. Because the other ones I'm starting to have mixed feelings on. I'm just wanting to shuffle them around. I don't want to shuffle Penn State around. I want to leave them at number 5. I think they are number 5. I thought when I seen they were number 7 in AP, I was like, what? What are you watching? What are you seeing? What are you hearing? Because Penn State has the 3rd best duo running team in the country. They have absolutely great defensive front. They have good defensive backs. I think Drew Aller's going to be a great quarterback, probably the best quarterback under James Franklin ever. That's my opinion, but I believe so. I think he has an amazing amount of talent. I do have a little bit of questions when it comes to the wide receivers. They got to show us. I'm not saying – I don't ever say questions. Everybody's like, man, why does he mean all these questions? I'm not saying questions as a bad thing, right? I'm saying unproved. They didn't prove to me they're better. Offensive line, too. Offensive line was not great for them last year. Kind of like Alabama, there's a lot of holes. But Alabama and Penn State both have had some years' experience now they have under them. They was able to work some stuff out. And so their offensive lines could be stout this year. We don't know. We'll have to see. I think they're going to be better on both of them. But I do think that this is going to be a team with a chip on their shoulder, and then they're going to put up a fight. I can't wait to the Michigan-Penn State game. I don't want to see the Michigan or the Ohio State and Penn State game. That one I'm nervous about. I'm glad it's at our stadium, but this is going to be a good game. I do think that this group is going to be probably the most talented group that, like I said, Jim Harbaugh. This might be the most talented group Michigan had. I think this might be the most talented group. I mean, not saying all the players, like Michael Parsons was pretty freaking talented, guys. But I think overall, this might be one of the most talented groups James Franklin's had as well. So I got them at number 5. LSU I have at number 6, but my stock is dropping, guys. LSU, you got to do me better than this. Now, I need you to stay up there because this is where I want you, but you're making me want to bring you down, right? I got LSU at number 6 because I do believe in the chip. Chip Kelly coming in his second year, he made a believer out of all of us in year 1 when he won the West. I mean, 2019 was the last time LSU won the West, and as a matter of fact, those are the only 2 times I can remember since Nick Saban, other than, Auburn did. We don't want to talk about Auburn, Alabama fans. But other than that, I mean, you just know, like, almost every year it's almost a guarantee that Alabama wins the West. And so when they beat Alabama and they won the West, it was like, okay, Chip is here. Chip is here. I'm a believer in the chip. And then quarterback Daniels coming back. So there's a lot of great things. They have a good matchup against FSU week 1. I got them actually beating FSU, even though I'm high on FSU. I do think it's going to be a close game, but I do have LSU winning. The problem that I have with LSU is the defense. Are they going to be the 50th strength defense? Are they going to be the 30th strength defense? I think they're projected within the 50s. And they were horrible last year. They went home and got beat down. They got beat down by Georgia in the SEC championship. They have no defense. And so their offense has to be either better than your offense or they lose. And more I look at it, I'm like, do I drop them? Or do I believe that the Chip's got this defense figured out? I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt for the preseason poll. But if he don't tighten up, he's dropping off this list a little further down. Number 7, I have FSU. Talking about the first week. FSU, I have them at number 7. I have them pretty high on my list. I have a lot of returning players as well. A chip on the shoulder, very experienced wide receiver. People are buying into FSU. These kids, they're recruiting well. They're doing the right things, right? They had a great season last year. I think they're going to have a great season this year. I predicted them to win the 50-50 ball. I called the 50-50 ball between them and Clemson because I really think they're going to be pretty close to each other. In my predictions in my other show, I predicted them to beat them and win the ACC. So I put them up there at number 7 because of that. So we'll see. I actually like them. I like where they're going. They won the Florida title. I think they're going to win the Florida title again. They're favored against both Miami and Florida, and I think they'll do just that. If you're a betting guy, which I'm not, if you're a betting guy, go ahead and bet on the FSU Seminoles when it comes to those games. Another team I have high stock on, but I'm thinking about maybe dropping my stock. Right, you know what? I'm going to keep Penn State in their own tier 2. Penn State, right? I'm going to keep them tier 3. I'm going to go 6-10. Just because right now I don't think Penn State moves. That's how I feel. I almost should have just put them with 1, but there is a little bit more questions than the other team, so I put them on their own. So let's talk about that. Penn State out of the tier of their own, tier 2. Tier 3 is 6-10. I actually got USC up, but USC and LSU are both ready to drop to the bottom of this third tier because of the defensive wise. I don't believe in USC's defense. They lost against Utah twice last year and didn't win their championship because of their defense. Their offense is good. They lost a few people, but listen, they got so much offensive talent over there in California. They're constantly picking them up. The returning Heisman Trophy winning quarterback and Caleb Williams is back. So we got to believe in their offense. I got them up there because of that. I got them winning the Pac-12. But right now, there's another team, and I'll get to it here in a little bit, that I'm actually starting thinking about buying more stock into, which might jump them in that. But hey, I went with the safe bet, and I went USC. Hey, don't get mad at me. I went safe. But now I'm thinking about getting edgy. So we'll see. I got them up there, but we'll have to see how all that works. Moving on. Clemson. I like Clemson's trenches. They always have good trenches, right? And now they have a different offensive coordinator. They have a new quarterback. They got DJ moved on. And then we have Klubnik coming in. He's a 5-star. He's got good skills. He showed us a few times last year when he got to play that I think he can really take control of this team and move this team back to where it was. And I don't think they're going to go win a national title this year. Don't get me wrong. But I do think that they're going to, they went 10-2 in their down years and still won in the ACC championship. I think they're 10-2 again, maybe 11-1 even. I can almost put them at 11-1, 10-2. But I don't think they win the ACC championship because I give the 50-50 to FSU. But we'll see if I'm right or wrong on that. But I do think that quarterback Cade Klubnik will start to shine. And the future's bright with Clemson with him. So I can see them back into a not only in the playoffs when it comes to 12-team playoffs next year, but an actual threat in those playoffs. I think Clemson's ready to come back. And I think Dabo Swinney, which is one of the top 5 coaches in college football, is starting to build his program back up to where he had it, and that's a dangerous thing. So I got them high at 9. I can almost move them up as well. But that's not the team I was buying. No, the team I'm buying stock in now that I'm thinking about moving up on my list is Washington. And I was always bright on Washington. I actually have Washington third best behind Oregon when I picked them to win. But when you start looking at the camp, put it all together, I'm like, man, I don't know. I like the way Washington fights and competes. I think they have the second best wide receiver group in college football. I think they have Michael Penix Jr., very, very, very good quarterback, a lot of experience. And so I think offensively they can stay with everybody over there in the Pac 12 and even some people in the country. And I actually like their defense better than I like USC's defense, and I'm better than LSU's defense. Now, they have time to prove me wrong, prove me right. But I actually think that Washington is starting to look like the favorite to win the Pac 12. That's just my thoughts. I got them at number 10 right now. I got them third, even behind Oregon, who I haven't even mentioned yet. But I'm starting to buy stock in Washington. Matter of fact, the last time a Pac 12 team went to, I don't know, the playoffs, it was Washington. So we'll move on from that. So that was my third tier. Here goes the fourth tier. And I got fourth tier is 11 through 15. Actually, yeah, 11 through 15. And let's go with this. Number 11, Texas. And I know a lot of people's got Texas up higher. And maybe I should. But I have reasons, right? I loved Quinn Ewers for a year. And then he screwed my team. And I was mad at him. But now I like him. I think he's a great quarterback. I actually think if he didn't go out against the Alabama game last year, that Texas actually wins that game. And I'm not saying that the other quarterback did good. He did. But I actually think they win that game. But they have to prove it. Every year we say, Texas is back. Look at them. They're doing this. They got all this talent and all this. And then they let us down, right? So I'm not sure that we can say Texas is back the same as I can't say FSU's back. They got to show me consistency. And I haven't seen that. I haven't seen them be back. I heard about it, but I didn't see it. So they have a right to prove us this year that they're back. I got them at 11 because they do have talent. I think they have a top 4 to 5 wide receiver on their squad. And you know, some people might have them at 2 or 3, and that's Worthy. And so Quinn Ewers has Worthy to throw to. And now they brought Mitchell over from Georgia. They add another threat over there at wide receiver. They have a great offensive line. So the running back, I think, is going to have an all right time. He's going to have a good time, whoever runs the ball. I know they lost their running back, but I think they're going to be fine. I actually been hearing that the defensive line is the most powerful part of the Texas team. And if that's the case, that's good because I actually like their offense. I think their offense is one of the best in college football. Their defense allowed too many points. If that defensive line, if that front can cause pressure, it helps the backs. They can work together to cause turnovers, to cause stops, to force third and long. And third and long, that's what you want. And you've seen that in the Alabama game, but you didn't consistently see that throughout the season. If they can be consistently like that, this is a scary team. But I can't buy it. I got to put them in at number 11. That's the highest I can go right now until they start showing us. Because every year they let us down. Listen, Steve, if you want your team to be SEC, they're coming over next year, you got to get them SEC ready. Consistency. Consistency matters, guys. So I got Texas at 11. Number 12, I have Oregon. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, man, how do you have Oregon 2 in the Pac-12, but number 12 on your power polls? Well, it has a lot to do with scheduling. It has a lot to do with timing. It has a lot to do with who you play on back-to-back times. Listen, Oregon is one of the best running teams in college football. One of the best. They've always been like that. And I think they are still. They have Bo Nix as a quarterback. He's been, 70 years as a quarterback in college football. He's going to continue to be good. He's going to do things that's going to allow Oregon to win games. But I like USC. I like Washington. I'm actually growing on right now. I like a lot of teams more than I like Oregon, not because of their defense or their offense. It's because I don't trust Oregon to be healthy through the whole year. And that's just my thoughts on it. I just don't. And I want to buy in Oregon. Oregon sounds exciting. I'm excited that they're coming over to the Big Ten. You know, I'm a little upset though that the Pac-12 is falling apart. So I got some mixed emotions, but we're not going to talk about all that realignment crap. You know, right now, but one of the playoff spots in the Pac-12 this year is going to come through the championship could come through the Pac-12 this year because there's so much talent over there. But I think they eat each other up. And when I look at how they eat each other up, I got to line it up. Who's going to come out on the top? And I think Oregon could come out in second place. But I don't think they're talented as Washington is. I don't think they're as talented as USC is. And that's why I had to have that mixed thing. I think those two teams are talented, but I think Oregon's schedule works better than Washington's schedule works. I think Oregon's schedule is pretty close to USC's schedule. So it's just a lot that goes into it. And I like Oregon. I wanted to put them all the way up to the top, but I don't know. I just can't trust the health of Oregon going down. Number 13, which I'm actually starting to buy in a little bit more, but we'll see. And that's Notre Dame. Now, Tyler Buchner left and went to Alabama. Best thing that ever happened to Notre Dame. Thank you, Tyler, because they got Sam Hartman, which is a better quarterback than Tyler Buchner. And I think that they're going to show that when they come through this year. And they play Ohio State week 4, which is going to be, if you hear my dog, I'm sorry. He's a loudmouth and won't stop. But I do think that their running game is going to be more stout. I like their tight end. Listen, I know a lot of people say you can't replace Michael Mayer. Listen, when you talk about Notre Dame, you're always talking about offensive line and you're talking about tight ends. They're going to replace them. And everything's going to work out that way. Don't worry about that. But they also have receivers at Merriweather and Jaden Thomas. And I think they're going to show up this year. I think there's going to be something to look forward to if you're a Notre Dame fan. And I'm not really in this ugly all green they're going to come to at Ohio, they're going to wear when Ohio State comes home. But they're home. They're home against Ohio State. So when you want to talk, they do have to play Clemson. They do have to play Ohio State. They always have a tough schedule. So that's always going against them. Absolutely. I understand that. That's not always in their favor. Let's say that. I actually really, really, really like Notre Dame. I don't want to like Notre Dame because they played my team. But as a college football fan, I like Notre Dame this year. I think they're better than next year. I'm not going to sit here and say like Notre Dame's going to win a national title. No, I'm not saying that. I think Notre Dame's going to be competitive. I think they're going to be better than next year. I think Clemson and Ohio State better be ready, or they're going to get a surprise if they're not. So I have Notre Dame at 13, and we'll move on. Again, sorry about the dog noise. That's just something that's got to happen whenever you don't have a bunch of money and you're not fancy and be able to be in the studios and have a bunch of people working for you to make your show look even better. We can get that. Keep subscribing. So let's go to 14. Tennessee. I got Tennessee at 14. And now there's a lot of questions in Tennessee. I get it. There is a lot of questions. But there could be a lot of upsides too. Joe Milton has been in college football forever, right? He was in Michigan, then went over to Tennessee. He's been in Tennessee for a while. He has a strong arm. I think he said he can throw like over 90 yards. You know, I don't know about accuracy over 90 yards, but he can throw 90-plus yards. They have a lot of things going on in Tennessee on the offensive side. They have another problem like a lot of these other teams, right? We always know the Big 12 to be all offense, no defense. Well, some of these SEC teams are turning into that. Tennessee was one of those last year as well. They won a lot of games, but they didn't have no defense. And then they got beat down by Georgia because of that, because Georgia had the defense to stop the offense, but they didn't have the defense to stop Georgia, if you know what I mean. We've seen that whenever South Carolina put a whooping on them. And they're like, man, they lost their quarterback. Welcome to college football. Welcome to college. You know how many times a quarterback goes out and someone has to step up? I can tell you about a national championship one time. It took a third-string quarterback to win. It's just the way things are going, right? It's a part of the game in all aspects. High school and college, NFL, people lose. But what did they have? They had an offense that was easy to recognize. Eventually, people figured it out. Look, it's either the quarterback's going to run the ball more than the running back, because I thought that's kind of was too much, and then they throw it deep to the same wide receivers. They figured them out. That's just that's just what it is. But they do have a lot of talent coming over there. Listen, they have the greatest wide receiver name in the world. Squirrel White. Squirrel. If your name is Squirrel, you have to be an amazing wide receiver. I'm sorry. It just has to happen. If your name is Squirrel, you got to have championship caliber receiving skills. And I think he does. You know what? I'm buying the Squirrel. I'm not going to buy him over Marvin Harrison Jr. or Mecca Ibuka or over Worthy. Heck, there's a few other wide receivers, probably not. But I'm going to put him up there. He's definitely a top 10. I don't even know how good he is. But with that kind of name, I'm throwing him in my top 10 because I think the Squirrel is going to dance all over people. Just because, I mean, I don't think God can put that in your heart to name your child Squirrel and him not be amazing. I'm sorry. And if this quarterback, Joe Milton, learns how to control the ball a little better, and he can get that throw out there to those guys, and they get speedy out there, then you're going to see a lot of the same that you've seen last year. I do think the defense still has a lot to improve, and therefore that's why I have them at number 14. And honestly, like I say, this tier is 14 all the way probably to, or not 14, but I'm sorry, but 11 to 15. And that's because I believe you can put these guys anywhere, including Tennessee at 15. I just think there's so many ups and downs. We don't know. We're just going to go with it because I do like the Squirrel. Number 15, I have Utah. Utah got Cameron Rising came back to Utah. I thought he was leaving, right? He got hurt. Now, that's still at the question. I haven't heard yet if he's 100%. I haven't heard if he is the same quarterback. I know that Cameron Rising is a competitor. He's a great quarterback. And he led to Utah to 2 Pac-12 championships back-to-back years. I think that matters. I think we have to take that into consideration when we talk about this team. I know this team likes to fight. I think it's coached well. I think they're dangerous. I had them at number 4 in my Pac-12 list, and I still have them at number 4 in my Pac-12 list. But guess what? I think Utah is the Pac-12 upset team of the year and can easily put some losses on people, especially if Cameron Rising is 100% in playing the way he does. I like him. I think that he'll play strong. I think that they are a threat when it comes to the Big 12 championship. Just like I think Wisconsin, I think all 4 of them could actually win it. I think USC can win it. I think Oregon can win it. I think Washington can win it. And I think Utah can win it. Things just have to bounce your way to do it. Now, when you put USC, you have the Heisman Trophy winner, so then you're going to put them at the top, right? And then you look over there and you got Bo Nix, and what he did with Oregon last year was pretty dangerous. And I'm like, well, they can run the ball, control the time. And so when you talk about that, that's a winning formula if you also have the quarterback who can throw the ball down the field when he needs to as well. So I put them in number 2. Washington, I think they're an all-around great team, which I'm buying stock in them, and I'm almost ready to put them at 2 to 1. And then Cameron Rising and Utah, I think they're the Utes, and they're who they are, and that's who they are going to be, and they're just dangerous. Absolutely dangerous. Listen, whoever is going to win the Pac-12, we know one thing for sure. They won't be in the Pac-12 next year. That's the only thing I can guarantee. Death, taxes, and the Pac-12 champion will not be in the Pac-12 next year. There's your guarantees. I just gave them to you. You're welcome. So I got Utah number 15. Now we go to our next tier, and that's 16 through 20. I got Wisconsin. I love Luke Fickell. And I like what he did with the Bearcats. He took a group of 5. Group of 5, who now is a Power 5 team. But they were a group of 5 team to a playoff. The only coach to do that. I know UCF was pretty mad. They're like, well, we should have already done that. But you didn't. And he did. And now he's going to Wisconsin, and he's actually going to change things up. He ain't going to run the old Wisconsin offense, right? He's going to run the spread. But they're still going to have the same defense. They're going to believe in the same powerful running backs and the same powerful tight ends that they've always had. And they're going to run the same kind of linebackers they've always done. So you have all the strength, but they're out there trying to recruit the speed and the spread. This could be a very dangerous team coming down the road. Do I think they're going to go out there and be very, very, very dangerous this year? I think they could be upset. Listen, Ohio State plays Penn State at home. Then they go on the road to Wisconsin. That's a tough game for Ohio State. If their head's not screwed on tight, Wisconsin might show up. I think the Wisconsin Badgers win the West. For the last year, they're going to be at East and West. I think they win the West in the Big Ten. I think they're going to be dangerous. I think they're going to be good. And I think people buy into the system for the future to be great for Wisconsin. I like Luke Fickell. I like what he's doing over there. So they talked about running a 3-3-5 stack defense. And I think they do another mix as well. But I just can't put them over 16 because there's still too many questions. They did do a good amount of recruiting when you talk about through the transfer portal. And when you start winning and the people start buying into it, that's when the real recruiting happens. It's hard to recruit kids from high school to your team when you don't know your identity yourself. Transfer portal helps that. Now, if they can be successful in that, then the recruiting from the high school happens better at Wisconsin than it has in a while. And you're not just going to see run tight end, run tight end, run tight end, run tight end. You're going to see wide receiver spread, quarterback play. That's going to be – we haven't seen great quarterback. Listen, Wisconsin's former quarterback, he's over there in Florida. Good luck, Florida. Graham Mertz, I don't think is the answer. But you must know something more than I did watching him for those years at Wisconsin. But that's you, not me. Number 17, I got TCU. Wow. TCU loses a great quarterback. They lose their offensive coordinator, who now is at Clemson, who's going to be doing Clemson's thing. They lost a lot. Listen, I get it. They did lose a lot, but they got 3 transfers from Alabama. They hit the transfer portal pretty hard. Like, they know what is needed, right? They lost their head coach a couple years ago, and last year, a new coach came in, didn't drop off. Nope. You know what they did? Took them to a national title. Didn't work out too well for them, but they went. So TCU is got a lot of things happening to him, right? Wide receiver JoJo Earle's going to come in and step in. Now, he wasn't that great at Alabama, but it doesn't mean he won't be good here. He has a lot of speed, a lot of talent. Maybe they'll use him in the right way. They did pick up another offensive lineman, and a running back to help with depth. I'm not sure that they're going to make the starting play. JoJo Earle will be a starter. But I like TCU. I like the competitiveness of TCU for a long time. These guys have been competing in the Big 12 for a long time, and they're not scared to play big-time opponents. I got them at 17 because I think they have the heart. I think they have talent. I think they have the coaching to be able to be competitive in the Big 12. I still think Texas wins the Big 12. I still think Texas Tech is one of the best teams in the Big 12. I think you're going to have a fight when you got Baylor in there. I'm not really sold a lot on Oklahoma, but I do think they're talented. And I put them at number 2 in the Big 12 just because they are talented and they have an experienced quarterback who hopefully stays healthy and be able to bring Oklahoma back to where they used to be. But just to be honest with you, I do think TCU has a rough road ahead of them. That's why I have them at 17, but I still think they're going to be a top 25 team by the end of the year if everything goes the way that they're trying to go. And that matters, right? Because the Big 12 needs some love too. The Big 12 is going to be not the same Big 12 we know it, but they're out there getting people. You got Utah coming. You got Colorado coming. You got both of the Arizonas ready to come. Texas and Oklahoma leads. You just brought in UCF. You just brought in Houston. You just brought in Cincinnati. Is it the Big 12, a Big 83? We don't know. We don't know at this point. All we know is that the Power 5 conference might not be called Power 5 conference much longer. So let's go to 18. I have Kansas State at 18. I like K-State. K-State is another one of those teams. Listen, they went out there and did their thing last year, right? They went out there and beat TCU, won the Big 12. They showed up, uh, I think that this team is better than what people would think of. Because listen, they're a basketball team. When you think of Kansas, you think Kansas State, you think basketball team, right? But K-State wants to be a football team too. And you see spurts. You see them good for a year or two, and then they disappear. And then you see them good for a year or two, then disappear. Well, they were good last year, and I think they're going to be good this year. And hopefully they don't disappear. Hopefully that this trend continues to move. The transfer portal is allowing these guys to go out there and get transfers to build up this team. And I like it. I like this team a lot. I actually think that listen, they have experience on this team, and I think that matters. We're talking Big 12. We're not talking national title, right? We're talking Big 12 competitiveness. They have talent, they have experience, and they have great coaching, and that means that they can compete. No one gave them an opportunity to win the Big 12 championship last year, and they did. Now, listen, Deuce Vaughn is gone, and they got some parts that left. But all that stuff will be replaced, and they will be competitive. I don't think they win the Big 12, but all they have to do is be a winning program and competitiveness. We're just saying don't disappear on us, Kansas State. Don't just be a basketball team. Enjoy football as well. And because that, I gave them number 18. Now, my number 19 team, I am wanting to buy stock in. I bought all kinds of stock in it last year. They gave up on me. They surprised me a little in the end, but they didn't finish well. I honestly want to buy stock in South Carolina. The belief system's good. They just picked up 2 5-stars in recruiting. They stole one from Ohio State. Kentucky's absolutely mad at them because they're doing great. They got Rattler coming back. I think he's finally built in. They have a new offensive coordinator that they fired their offensive coordinator halfway through the season last year because he wasn't making things done. The coach took over. They did good. They brought an offensive coordinator that fits the system. I think they're going to do good. The only thing is I need that proof. They're not consistent. That's what I've been saying so much throughout the thing. Kansas State, South Carolina. There's so much inconsistency when it comes to some of these teams. Now, the transfer portal is allowing them to get the talent to be out there and compete, and this can allow teams to be back or there for the first time. We don't know. But I like South Carolina. I think when it's all said and done, 19 is really low, and we're ready to buy stock. We're ready to jump them up high. We're ready to get high on them, guys. I think they're going to be ahead of some of these other people that we said, but this is preseason. Once again, I think it's preseason needs to be get put in context. They have to prove it. They can't just say it. We need proof. And South Carolina's at 19 until they prove it, which is still above 20, which is pretty good. All right, our final of this tier is going to be North Carolina. I like North Carolina, but their defense gave up a lot of points last year. I'm not sure their defense is going to be better this year. I think Matt Brown is a great coach, a little older in his years. He was a great coach in Texas. I think he's been a great coach for this program in North Carolina. I think he's built North Carolina a bigger brand than where they were. Football size, not basketball. Basketball, they've always been there. But I like Drake May. I think Drake May is one of my top 5 quarterbacks this year for preseason quarterback picks. Very talented guy. A very talented guy. And I understand they've lost a lot, but I think Drake May makes this team competitive. Once again, offensively will compete. Defensively needs to get better. We've said this a lot through these top 25 about these defense and offenses. I still think that their offense is better than a lot of teams that they'll play that'll put them there. That's kind of why I got them at number 3 in the ACC. Some people are like, man, you crazy. Well, I am, but that's besides the point. I do believe that North Carolina is the 3rd best team in the ACC. I had Miami and Pitt right there at number 4. I gave the edge to Miami. But I do like North Carolina, and I want them to succeed. I like Drake May. I want him to have a big year this year. So I'm going to go with them at number 20. And then our final tier will be 21 through 25. And I got Oklahoma at number 21, my number 2 of the Big 12. And you're like, huh? Didn't you have TCU and Didn't you have Kansas State better than them? Yeah, I did. I did. But there's a lot to it. We already went over this. I'm not going to do it again. So, Oklahoma at 21. I do believe in Dylan Gabriel, but the problem is, will he stay healthy? This is why I got him dropped. Health issues. Not only is the schedule there, right? But no, you didn't really show us on offense that you were that great of an offensive team last year. You have one of the best defensive coordinators as your head coach. You have one of the best offensive lines who've been there, coaches that have been there for, I don't know, 11 years or something, some craziness. But the truth is, I need more, right? I need more than just that. Dylan Gabriel has to stay healthy. You have to throw the ball down the field. You have to be able to compete against Texas and TCU when it comes to the offense. And I think Kansas State brings a good mix of both offense and defense to be able to compete against anybody. And so when I looked at that, I'm like, will they be healthy? Will they be able to compete on offense? I don't know. I think in my heart that they're going to end up being the second best team in the Big 12. But I need the proof of that. And until they get the proof of that, I have to put them at 21. Here's my thing. If Brett Biddlemals does not show up and build this team to what it needs to be, then they're going to have an issue when it comes to the SEC. Because I think he'll get the team better on the defensive side, but you got to be able to play offense. You got to be able to throw this ball down the field. And so there needs to be better. They got to be able to go out there and recruit better, and they got to be able to coach these guys up better. And I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. And, well, no, maybe we'll get proved wrong, but I got them at 21. Number 22, I have Iowa. Iowa was, one in my opinion, I know a lot of people say, wow, Georgia. I think Iowa was the best defense in the country last year. Georgia, number 2. They always do, right? I mean, let's be honest. Kurt has been there, I think, the longest tenured coach in college football. But his defense is always stout. Their linebackers are always the best. Their defensive backs are ball hungry. They take the ball. I mean, their defense at one point in the season, I'm not even sure they didn't end it, but I know one point in the season last year, Iowa's defense was scoring more points than their offense. So their offense couldn't move the ball. It was horrible. The worst offense, the best defense. And they scored. And they won games because of their defense. That defense will not drop. So I'm already looking at it right now. This is going to be a top 3, top 2 defense, without a doubt. Offensive-wise, they gotten better at offense because they got more experience, right? That offensive line absolutely was horrible last year. And I could only, like other teams, I could only imagine that with the experience and everything that they were going to be better and they were going to put these guys in a place to win. And then they did something that made them even better than that. They went out there and got Caden McNamara from Michigan, a quarterback who won the Big Ten championship in 2021, and made him the quarterback. Now, they did say, oh, they have to score 24 points or something like that. I think that's ridiculous to even have that thing. Look, Kurt needs to fire his son if he can't do the job. Let's just put that out there like that. But I think with this quarterback addition, as well as some of the other add-ons and this defense, I put them as a top 20 team. I think they're the second best team in the West of the Big Ten. But I also think that maybe, I don't know, they're probably like the 6th best team in the Big Ten. And so that's pretty good. I got them right now at 22. At 23, I got Ole Miss. I'm not a huge Lane Kiffin fan. I think he talks too much. I'm a talker. I think he talks too much. I think he's a little bit of a butt kisser when it comes to Nick Saban because he thinks he's going to be the next Alabama coach, and that's exactly what he wants to be. But I don't think he's going to be. I actually already have my bet on that. I think Dabo Swinney, who is an alumni of Alabama, will be the next Alabama head coach, but that's just me. But you heard it here first. I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong when it happens. Nick Saban did buy a $17 million retirement home. We'll find out sooner than later. Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, I'm not a huge fan of him. He does pretty good on building offenses. Defenses are so-and-so. I just think that he does enough competitive football throughout the year, even though they lost so much, to be considered for a preseason top 25. I'm not even sure they'll be a top 25 at the end of the year. I'm not sure they won't be. To me, they just have so many question marks right now. I mean, I actually was going back and forth. And a lot of people are like, why is not, I haven't heard Tulane yet. I can tell you right now on this channel, I'm a show me channel. And anytime a group of 5 wants to be in the top 25, I got to wait till I get shown. If you don't schedule good and you don't play hard, you ain't getting in there. I know a lot of people got Tulane right now in the top 25. That's not going to happen on this show until the season goes down and I get shown it. And then maybe I'll put them in there, absolutely. I'm not against group of 5 teams. But I think that it's stacked against them, that they have to be more than a group of 5. You have to be a group of 5 with the talent of a power 5 to be in the top 25. Because if I can put you against a power 5 team 9 out of 10 times, the power 5 team is probably going to beat you. But if I look at you and I say 5 out of 5 times that power 5 team will lose, and you're out there winning, I'm going to put you in there. And so I'm saying that. Show me, Tulane, that you belong. So don't worry. Here, breaking news, Tulane will not be in my top 25 today. So that says how it is. But Ole Miss, I do put you in there at 23. I do think Ole Miss is a good team. They have good coaching. I'm not huge on them, but this is preseason. But I do believe they need to show me too. Their schedule's hard. They've lost a lot. I wasn't big on them last year. They were winning games, though. So if you win, you win. I mean, that's what it's about, right? Winning. At the end of the day, it's about who won, who lost. And Lane Kiffin will find a way to win and compete. And so I thought he deserved the top 23, even if I didn't want to give it to him. Number 24, I have Texas Tech. I believe in Texas Tech will be one of those teams in the Big 12 that can put a scare on Texas, scare on Oklahoma, scare on TCU, scare on Kansas State. I don't think they're better than them as a whole, but I definitely think they can win. I definitely think they can put a scare. I definitely think they can challenge because they're known to throw that ball. I think this offense is very dangerous, absolutely dangerous. So we'll see. Texas Tech might be one of the best teams when the Big 12 realigns itself. I think Texas Tech will be right there, right along with TCU and probably Cincinnati if everything starts moving right with Cincinnati for the future. And I don't know. A lot of people buying on the Colorado thing. I haven't bought the Colorado thing yet. I still think you got to prove me just because a coach talks good, played good at NFL, and coach a Division III or whatever it was. That ain't proving me. You got to show me that you can go consistently compete against Power Fives, and we'll see how fast those Florida boys like that minus 40 degrees weather, and if they're actually going to want to recruit there. But again, prime time showed me I was wrong, and hey, I'll be the first right here on this channel to admit I was wrong once you do. I don't have pride. I just have opinion. It's Texas Tech 24, and last but not least, my number 25 team will be the Maryland team. Why? Because Baby Tua's on there. He's been there forever. Dude, I'm going to tell you right now, that man can throw a ball. He had a little bit of health issues last year. I thought they would end up better than even what they ended up last year if he would have stayed healthy. They got good wide receivers. Coach Mike is not my favorite kind of coach. Not a great recruiter. But he is a good coach. He is a good coach, a good offensive-minded coach. And I think Maryland is a better team than what people give credit for. I actually think they're a top 5 team in the Big Ten because of their offense, because of their defense. They're just competitive. And I think a competitive team with a good quarterback is dangerous. Same thing I think about Texas Tech. I think about Maryland. And that's why I give them the 25 spot. I actually do believe that Maryland is going to be a very competitive, very dangerous team. And Maryland does play Ohio State too early on, so we'll see all that as well as other teams. I actually I'm kind of not rooting against my team to lose, but I'm rooting for little Baby Tua, and that's what I call him. And you can call him whatever you want. You want to call him by his government name, call him by his government name. But he's Baby Tua to me. Little Baby Tua, I think he's going to go out there and show the world that he's a great quarterback, college quarterback. But I'm going to pump the brakes when it comes to NFL. I don't think he's big enough for an NFL quarterback. And I don't think Bryce Young's big enough for a quarterback in NFL. I'm watching Bryce Young right now getting hit left and right. I don't know if he can see over the offensive line. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to. I like my quarterbacks a certain size when it comes to quarterbacks. And these guys don't fit the bill. And so I'm rooting for him because I think college is that's his mark. And I want him to have a great time in college and success. And I think he's a bright kid. I think he's got a lot to go on for his future. I just don't think it's going to be an NFL. I don't think he's his brother. That's all I got to say on that. Well, thank you for listening to the Top 25 preseason Power Poll Top 25 of 2023. I'm your host, Don Goodwin. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. If you're watching on YouTube, please comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know where I was wrong. Let me know where I was right. Let me know what you would like to talk about. I like to feed off of the fans. We're trying to reach our first goal is 500, and we're going to continue our goals after that. But let's reach our first goal. Let's get those subs in. Get them out there, guys. Thank you, and God bless. Have a good night.